What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 22. Last time out we were at the Italian Grand Prix, and after a poor qualifying session we didn't make it into Q2. Oh sorry, we didn't make it to Q3, we did make Q2. We got quite lucky with some unfortunate incidents on track for other drivers, and we managed to sneak through with damage and claim a podium P3 finish. Alex Albon finished on the podium as well in P2, so he's continuing his great run of form, which is keeping Williams competitive. And we as a result have managed to extend our gap to Alpine, the team who are currently behind us in the fight for 5th place in the championship. There's a big gap between these two races, and if you know anything about the real life circumstances of what usually comes between Italy and Singapore, perhaps you can figure out why the gap is so large. But anyway, we're doing some driver perk stuff. Once I get the money for that last one, I'm going to do that as well. That's why I didn't go for that one, because I know you're probably thinking, oh, surely you want to do resource points more than anything else. And it's, yeah, we're gonna do all of them, and then I'm gonna try and remember as soon as I hit driver acclaim 15, I'm gonna just immediately rush the rest of them, because all of these are so useful. Like engine wear reduction by 30%, goodness me, that's going to be so useful, as is the acclaim boosting, which is going to allow us to assign more sponsors and get more money and all that kind of thing. And the resource points, I don't think I have to tell you why those are a big deal. We could have given the driver more acclaim, or we could have given Piastri more acclaim, but with a reduction to his focus is super important. It's that hidden stat that makes it so drivers can suddenly be shit with no real explanation. So if you can maintain your driver focus, that's essential. And that is pretty much it. One more team acclaim boost, which obviously I am going to go for. We're getting closer and closer to a level 20 now, and I'm sure once the end of the season comes, we'll probably go up a few acclaim levels, just from the fact that we've massively outperformed where we should be as a result of the results that you could see at the bottom of the comparative performance chart there. We're still the worst team on the grid, although we're quite close. However, I get the feeling that if there is going to be a regulation change, it's probably going to be announced fairly soon, and at that point we will probably pause our development until we've covered off all of the upgrades that we've made so far that will be affected by the regulations. So yeah, it's Aston Martin and AlphaTauri are our nearest rivals. So Aston Martin are the team we have to outscore to get the bonus, and as I predicted, there is the regulation change. They say it's going to affect multiple departments, but they're not sure which ones. When they say multiple, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could even be all 4. If it's all 4, we could see a major shake-up, because it's going to entirely depend on how well the teams cover off. If they do that, there's a large chance that we could suddenly become a front-running car. But I guess we'll have to wait and see whether that rings true or not. And for now, all we can do is get into the first practice session here at Singapore, which is this weekend's Grand Prix, and see if we can make something happen here. We were close to finishing in the points last season, and by close to finishing in the points, I mean we qualified in I think either close to or in a points paying position, and we had a points paying position for the few laps we were in the race. And then I suffered with the dreadful reliability that I had last season, and that resulted in a DNF. Ricciardo somehow sets the fastest lap on Inters. I didn't do a dry run, but Ricciardo went 10 seconds faster than I did on the same tyre. I think that's probably a glitch, because I don't see how that's possible. And yeah, I didn't do a dry run, so the pace isn't really representative. We'll have to wait until qualifying to see where we're at. If I can get into Q3, that would be amazing, but really I'd like to just get on sort of the fringes of Q3 would be the ideal scenario. P11, P12, that would be nice. We'll see if that rings true or not. But yeah, we are going to be, you can see I've got 2,000 resource points. I'm not going to be spending it on any upgrades. We're going to be completely sacking off any development until we've covered off as many upgrades as we can. And on the off chance that we do cover off all of the upgrades that will be affected by the regulation change, which, given how many we've got in each department at this point, I'd say is fairly unlikely. But if that does happen, then we can start potentially looking at getting some more upgrades on for next season, and yeah, making our car as competitive as we can. I think come next season there is a very slim chance that we are going to be the worst car, especially given how well we've been doing this season. We're going to have the opportunity to upgrade our facilities even further, unlock more upgrades, and yeah, just generally have a hopefully more competitive season than we had this year. Maybe we can have both cars a bit more competitive as I pass Piastri as he comes out of the pits. As I finished my first flying lap of Q1, it was good enough for, I think it was a 1:38.3, not great, but we've improved on our second flying lap significantly, 4.5 tenths, and it is good enough in the end. Q1, P9. Not bad. If we can replicate that over the course of the qualifying sessions, both Q2 and Q3 as well, I'll be very happy with that. Albon P7, so he's had another good performance here. We'll see if he can get into Q3 as well. He's becoming a bit of a Q3 regular at this point. I think Williams, again, is one of those cars where it's like it looks worse than it actually is. Either that or the pack is so closed up. Max Verstappen is out in 21st. I'm guessing he just didn't get another run in or something like that. That's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. The only person he out-qualified was Vettel, who, as I've said a few times at this point, I'm fairly suspect. I think he's going to retire at some point soon. Especially if he keeps having performances like this. I wouldn't want to stick around. 1:38.9 for our first flying lap on used soft tyres. I'm not gonna read too much into that. We'll see if we can do a big improvement on fresh tyres. We'll see. We are in fact last as we come round the final corner, but we are 1.2 seconds up on our previous lap. We'll see if this is good enough to get us into Q2, Q3 even. And oh, we just sneaked through in P10. So yeah, not bad. Quite good to see. Quite happy about that. And I wonder if there are any more shock exits. Daniel Ricciardo, who set the fastest time in practice, and he also, I think McLaren have the fastest car at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, or it's one of the fastest cars. You can see Norris is right up there. So yeah, a little bit of a shock to see Ricciardo out, perhaps, but everyone else I think is fair game. Albon making it through again, exciting for him, exciting times. He comes off the back of a podium finish, and he's looking like he's hoping to continue what he started and see if he can score some more big points in the Singapore Grand Prix. 1:38.7 for our first lap. It's not great. It was on a used set, but hopefully we can improve once we go on to the fresh set, the final set of softs that we have available. Sergio Perez has gone 2 seconds faster than us, so hopefully that's good enough. Here we go. We've come out on our final flying lap, but as you can see, something's a bit different to how it was last time, and it is in fact raining, so that is going to be P10 for us, unfortunately, because there will be no way to improve. The track is probably too wet for us to go any faster, so I don't think any of the other cars even came out, and I'm going to just come straight back into the pit lane. I'm not going to bother with even trying. You can see everyone else is here, so yeah, but it's unfortunate. Norris also unfortunate. He was first in Q2, and he's going to be qualifying 9th. My rival Russell does out-qualify me, but he's definitely within reach. So all in all, not a bad result, but yeah, I wonder if there was potentially more in the car if we'd have had another run. But we can speculate all we want. All we can do is deal with the fact that is P10, and that's where we'll be starting in the Singapore Grand Prix. Maybe if there's a few penalties applied to some of the cars up the grid, then maybe we'll gain a few positions.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Sainz, Leclerc and Sergio Perez. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Sainz on pole. He's finally finding some form in this season. Maybe he's been massively out of this season compared to last season, where he was looking like he might have been a championship threat. You know, I think we're ahead of him in the drivers' standings actually, and I mean we are having a very good season, but still he should never be being outperformed by someone who I wouldn't really consider myself a regular podium feature. I've had a few sneak podiums this season. How many have I had now? 4, I think. It's like there's been a good haul of them, but Sainz really should be outperforming someone who's only had 4 podiums. You know, Sainz is someone who should be on the podium every other race basically, and even if he's not, he should be up there scoring big points. So yeah, having a real shocker of a season really. Not too dissimilar to how it was in real life, but this is a lot more dramatic. So now all we've got left is the race, and we'll see if we can score a few points in this one. We've got both Alpines ahead of us, so if we can jump them, that would be the ideal scenario, but we'll have to wait and see what is going to happen.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging race. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Ocon, George Russell and Fernando Alonso, Norris, Robinson, Gasly and Carlos Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ricciardo, Tsunoda and Sir Lewis Hamilton. They've taken a grid penalty. And Latifi, Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri and Sebastian Vettel. Joe, Magnussen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Stroll and Max Verstappen completes the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Natalie Binkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Well, forget what I said about the Sainz thing. He has taken a grid penalty in Singapore, so GG. Albon is starting third, which I actually can't believe, but it's because both Hamilton and Sainz are taking penalties. So he is really in with a shot of having another really good race here. He could be getting double-digit points again, at a minimum, I reckon. You know, he's got, what, Leclerc and Perez ahead of him. And I mean, that's pretty much it. Norris is starting on soft compound tires, so I don't know if he's doing a two-stop or what the strategy is for him, but I guess we'll find out. And yeah, hopefully we can have a good race. If the race is as good as that parking, then we're gonna win. But yeah, we'll wait for the rest of the cars to form up on the grid, and then we'll get straight into it. I'm excited for this one. If we can jump a few cars off the start, that'd be great. The lights come on. And the lights go out. Here we go. It's a pretty decent start. Unsurprisingly, Norris gets a better start, but it looks like we did get a slightly better start than Alonso. Gasly's challenging us, but we're going to send one up the inside of him. He's going around the outside. I think we've lost that position, but we go for it up again. We have to get onto the curb, and we've spun. That's not good at all. Yeah, unfortunately, I just rode the curb a bit too much there and got into a spin. And that has dropped me down to the bottom of the pack, so we'll have to see what we can do from here. It's really unfortunate. I tagged the wall there actually as well when I exit that corner. I think I got some minor front wing damage from it, but we'll see if we can soldier on. It doesn't look too bad, so hopefully I won't need to pit or anything like that, and we'll just have to hope that the cars in front of us all hold each other up to the point that I can make some overtakes work in this race. You got Vettel, you got Stroll, and you got Gasly all coming into the pits, assumedly with some kind of front wing damage or something like that. So we make our way up the order to P19. But all in all, that's not the best start, not the start we were probably looking for. But it's a long race. It's actually the longest one on the whole calendar, I think. At least in my experience, Singapore always takes the longest. You got 31 laps of a 1 minute 40 like track. So, you know, Belgium's about the same length, and there's 22 laps of that. And it's the same with Baku, I think. It's about the same length, and there's like 25 or 26. So Singapore is really long by comparison. So I've got plenty of time. There's multiple overtaking spots, even if it's not super easy. It's very easy to get sucked into a DRS train here, which I kind of am part of at the moment with Joe and Piastri, who I've now caught up with. But if I can get ahead of these guys, get to the front of this train, and then I can maybe just follow Max Verstappen as he cuts his way through the field. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm still optimistic that there's opportunities for us to move forward into this race and potentially get back into the fringes of the points. You know, we've started last, like in Spain, and we got into I think it was 8th in the end. So that was a great race, and maybe we can have a repeat of that in Singapore. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult in Singapore. There's not quite as much room to overtake. But then again, Spain isn't a track that's notorious for its overtaking, and I managed to pull off 14 in the end there to make my way from 22nd to 8th. And yeah, maybe if there's a few safety cars here, which Singapore is notorious for, there's a real possibility that we could be getting through the pack with all deliberate speed, as some have said in the past. Max Verstappen now comes into the pits. He was on soft compound tyres, so I guess that's his first of 2 stops maybe, as does Latifi, as does Norris, as does Russell, who I guess were all on softs as well. And that allows us to move up the order some, but those guys who have pitted, with the possible exception of Latifi, may still catch up to us as we move forward in this race. We've got Zhou Guanyu still ahead of us. We haven't been able to close him down, mostly because he hasn't been able to get ahead of Oscar Piastri, and Oscar Piastri hasn't been able to lose him. And as a result of this, we're kind of losing touch to the Hasses, and I think that's Schwartzman ahead of the two. Well, it must be Schwartzman ahead of the two Hasses. We're kind of losing touch with them. That's the fringes of the points. I think it's Schwartzman in P10 at the moment. So if we can overtake him, then we could potentially be looking at some points. But we also have to worry about Russell, Norris, and Verstappen, who are all on mediums, who are going to be much, much faster behind us, and hope that we can hold them off if they do close us down. But they're going to be closing us up by multiple seconds a lap. And if you don't believe me, you'll see exactly what I mean in just a second. We still just can't find a way through Zhou at the moment. He's not really giving us any opportunity. Now here we are on lap 11, and as I told you, Russell was 8 seconds behind on lap 8, and now he's 1 second behind me and closing me up. So if I want to keep him behind me, I'm gonna have to start putting cars in between us. It's pretty much the only way to do it in my experience. If there's a faster car behind you, the only way to keep them behind is to put distance between you and them. Because they will struggle, in my experience, especially on a track like Singapore. They will struggle way more to overtake the AI than they will struggle to overtake you, because the AI are all fast in the same place and they're all slow in the same place, whereas I might be slow in a place where they're fast and fast in a place where they're slow. So if it's a track where it's difficult to overtake, like Monaco, they still might be able to overtake me, and vice versa, I might still be able to overtake them. But the AI find it nigh impossible to overtake one another, and I think Singapore is a similar deal. So if I want to keep hold of the position I'm in and stay ahead of Russell and Norris, who I started behind in this race, I need to start putting cars between us. Basically, I need to get ahead of Zhou. I probably need to get ahead of Piastri, and then I need to close up the Hasses in front and get ahead of them as well. If I want any chance of getting back into the points, it's going to be by maintaining Russell and Norris behind us for as long as we can. And yeah, the tyres are starting to go off, so it's only going to be harder, but it's only going to be harder for Zhou as well, as he has a little bit of a snap there. I've seen my opportunity, and I'm going to see if I can snatch it with both hands. I'm burning the battery in a place I don't usually. I've got the DRS. I'm way faster than him, and I'm going to try and go around the outside at turn 1. We'll see if we can make the move stick. He goes a bit deep over the curb, but we do manage to hold on to the position, and we're now up into P14, just behind our teammate Oscar Piastri, who I am also going to try and get ahead of as quickly as I possibly can. But first, I have to make sure that Zhou Guanyu doesn't re-overtake me as we go through the DRS zone here. It should be okay, I think, because we've got DRS to Piastri ahead as well, and indeed, he hasn't really caught up with us, and now we just have to see if we can extend the gap to him for as quickly as we can before Russell and Norris overtake him, because Lord willing they will. And indeed, you can see that Russell is going for a move now on Zhou, as we go for a move on Piastri to try and get back ahead of him. But yeah, we don't quite make it happen on this occasion. We will have DRS through this next section, and we're a lot closer than we were on the previous lap. We have a pretty good exit. He definitely has more traction on the exit, but with DRS and the battery, we'll be able to close him down in no time. And we'll see, are we going to go for a move here? I think we are. We go for a big dive up the inside, and we just managed to stick the landing. A very clean move in the end. And yes, that is now P13, ours for the taking, next up the road. 4 seconds ahead, Schumacher and Magnussen, the two Hasses. Schumacher on the fringes of the points as well. He hasn't had a point this season. I think he's the only driver apart from Piastri, but Piastri didn't do a full season, so then there's still time for him, but there's still time for Schumacher as well, granted. We now come into the pits on lap 14, and we're going to be fitting the hard compound tyres to the end of the race. We've got Norris, who's coming in behind us as well. I don't know if he got damage or something, because that seems a little bit early for him if he's on a 2-stop. But yeah, maybe he hit someone on that lap or something. That's all I can think of. We come out and we're now directly behind Magnussen. I mean, like, we're going to be within his DRS range probably. So we're gonna be able to sort of start attacking him as we come through into the second stint of this race. That said, I don't know if he will have a better pace than us or what now that we're on fresh tyres. I think I was closing him down a little bit towards the end of the last stint. But yeah, the AI always are capable of warming up their tyres much better than I am. It's just a fact of this game. It's something you have to deal with if you play with the realistic tyre temperatures. They're always going to warm up their tyres better than you because they're robotically good at doing it. And they're also robotically good at knowing how much grip and how much heat is in their tyres to be able to, you know, brake at the right times. Gasly's now come into the pits, so I don't know what what kind of strategy he's running, but in any case, that promotes us up the order. But crucially, I think Magnussen is actually starting to get away from us a little bit, to the point that I don't even think we're going to have DRS to this next DRS straight, and that's going to be unfortunate because that's going to allow him to break away from us even more, as he has the DRS to Schumacher ahead. Really, the gap that we now should be looking at if we want to catch up to these guys is going to be Schumacher, or maybe even Schwartzman. If I'm closing up Schwartzman, I don't know if Schumacher has DRS to him, but if I'm closing him up, then maybe I'm still okay. This is Sebastian Vettel, and yeah, for what feels like the 4th race in a row at this point, he's having a DNF. I might actually go to the results screen at some point and check, because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure he DNF'd in Italy. I'm pretty sure he had a DNF in the Netherlands, and I could be wrong, but I do think he had one in Belgium as well. Yeah, that was so long ago I don't even remember anymore whether he had one in Belgium, and that's when you know that he's had too many DNFs in a row, if I'm struggling to remember when the last time he finished a race was. So yeah, if he can't find another team to go to combat the poor consistency of that Aston Martin, this could be the last season we see Sebastian Vettel. Of course, he's retired in real life. Meanwhile, Russell has come out of the pits after his second stop, so I guess he was doing a 2-stop, soft, medium, medium, and he is ahead of us once he's come out of the pits. So that's any chance we have of finishing ahead of Russell. But now he's looking for a move on Magnussen, and if he holds up Magnussen, we could potentially be looking at making a move on him ourselves. I think they actually made contact there. I think I heard that off in the distance. They're having a big fight, a big battle, a big wheel-to-wheel moment, and that is allowing us to close them up significantly. They're holding each other up so much through these corners. Magnussen has a big snap there. We're going to have the DRS. He's got no DRS. We've got the battery. We're going to try and go up the inside here. He's going to try and close us off, but we're already closing the door, so there's no opportunity for him to do that. And as we get to the end of the DRS straight, he forces us off the track a little bit, but we do make the move stick. So we're up into P13 now, and I think this is actually our net position on the road. I could be wrong. I don't think there's anyone left ahead who hasn't stopped yet. We're on lap 24, so barring any incident, this is the position we're in. Any other positions we want to make up, we're going to have to do them on track. Schumacher is just over a second ahead of us, and Russell is battling with Schwartzman now at this point to get into the final points paying position, and he's just about managed to sneak through into 10th place, and that has held up Schwartzman significantly. Now I'm looking at Schumacher and Schwartzman, and I'm wondering whether them fighting one another is going to allow me to catch up to a certain degree. Schumacher managed to get ahead. It sounded a little bit dirty. I thought I had a bit more contact there, but we'll have to wait and see. I wonder whether Schwartzman will protest that he has to give the place back. It doesn't seem like he does because nothing's being done, but yeah, now we are significantly closer to Schwartzman than we were before. And there's a DRS straight that's coming up very shortly, so we'll see if we can attack Schwartzman into this next DRS zone. He'll have DRS to Schumacher, I think. Yeah, he does. So probably we can't make the move happen just yet. But if Schumacher pulls away a little bit and Schwartzman is left without any DRS, we could be looking at a very, very simple overtake. You know, just burn the battery, burn the DRS, open the DRS, and I don't think Schwartzman will have much of an answer to us. We've seen to be a faster driver pretty much the whole time that Schwartzman has been in Formula 1. No matter whether he was on our team or whether he's been on Alfa Romeo, he's never really been anyone I've seen as a rival or anything like that. So he's had a big snap, much like his teammate did before, to allow me to overtake him back on lap 12. Now we double the lap count, and I'm way closer to Schwartzman than I was before. He has managed to pull away a little bit before, but we'll see. We're going to go up the inside of the corner. He closes the door. That seems like a racing incident. There's no damage. I don't know if he's got damage, but that felt like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I went for a risky move. He still should have been a bit more aware about what he was doing. He massively turned into me when I was already alongside him. So yeah, but if he's not got any damage and I've got not got any damage, I think it's no harm, no foul. It's easy for me to say because I got ahead of him. But I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Did you think that was fair game? Was I in the wrong? Was Schwartzman in the wrong? Let me know. Meanwhile, we move on to the final lap now. I still haven't managed to catch up with Schumacher, and well, this race kind of was just a bit of a bust after that spin, unfortunately. I wanted to believe I could make it back into the points. I actually wasn't far off, as Russell's now overtaken his teammate, and Mercedes continued to really struggle in some of these races. 9th and 10th is not a good result for them whatsoever. They should be winning races, and I don't know if they have won any this season. I think maybe Hamilton took a win at some point. Oh, in Monza, of course, Hamilton won. That was literally the last race. But apart from that, I can't think of another scenario where they've won this season, so that is very disappointing for them. Charles Leclerc wins the race, as you can hear the fireworks exploding in the sky, and yeah, that will be the end of that for the race leaders. I guess Perez maybe came second. I'd love to hear where Albon finished, because he was also right up there. We'll see if he managed to maintain that podium position. That would be awesome if he did. That would be back-to-back podiums for him. But you know, I wonder whether the cars behind were just a bit too fast for him to compete with. We do have a hard-charging Norris behind us, actually. It's not going to make too much of a difference. There's no points awarded for 12th and 13th. But, you know, every position counts in a race like this for things like acclaim. And, well, obviously we want to boost our acclaim as much as we can. So if that means holding off Norris through these last few corners, then that's what I'll have to do. And, yeah, I think as a result, this is the first race that we've had this season where we've finished and not scored any points. The only other races where we haven't scored points have been ones where the car's broken down. Obviously we were classified in Belgium, but we did technically still have a DNF. Magnussen gets driver of the day. Not sure how that computes, given that he finished like 14th. But, you know, fair play to him, I guess.
But they've done so with some style here today to take a remarkable victory. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out of the track was: speed. It sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Podium Albon.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
He's getting used to it up there. He's going to be winning one of these races some point soon. Maybe I should be looking at signing him as a teammate in the future. He wasn't on my radar at all, but these last few races, he's really impressed me, honestly, with where he's been dragging that Williams to. I'm starting to become a bit of a fan of him based on some of these performances. So yeah, fair play, Albon, fair play. Maybe we'll have to keep our eye on him for future seasons once we've got a bit of a better car.
Let's have a quick look at how the driver's standings have changed. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Natalie Pinkham, come on, who do you pick?
Today, I think I'll give it to the Haas driver.
Let's move on to the constructors. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So Williams have actually moved up in the constructors now as a result of Albon's fantastic performances these past few races. They're up into P7 in the constructors now. P6 in the constructors is still Alpine, but they are only 4 points behind us. They scored 20 points in that race, and I scored none, which meant they've massively closed that gap now, and we could be in a little bit of trouble. Here's that spin again in slow motion, in case you didn't see it the first time. And yeah, an unfortunate start to the race, but we were able to get going quickly. Fortunately, we didn't spend too much time maneuvering the car out of that spot. So yeah, that wasn't the end of the world for us. And we now are just looking at us closing up on the rest of the pack. I thought that was me, but it was actually Piastri. I was like, I don't remember being in that position at any point on lap 1. The next highlight isn't until lap 20, surprisingly. That surprised me, because I definitely did make some overtakes before then. And furthermore, I don't remember anything actually happening on lap 20 that was of particular interest. But the highlights in this game are always particularly weird, so I don't know. I think we've held on to P7 in the Drivers' Championship for now, but we do have to keep our wits about us with regards to that. That's going to be a massive boost to our acclaim, our driver acclaim, that is, where we finish there. And the team's situation is a different thing entirely. We've got we're in P5, but we've got I think, what is it, 5 or 6? I think it's 6 more races left to go. So we're still going to have to put in some strong performances there, especially considering it's a 1 versus 2 for P5 in the championship. I wonder if Piastri was putting in the same performance as me, where we'd be in the championship. I don't actually think we'd be that much higher, because the next team up, I think, is McLaren, maybe, and they're like over 100 points ahead of us, I think. So I don't actually know if Piastri being in this fight would make too much of a difference, but it would certainly make our hold on P5 in the standings a lot more concrete and a lot more stable. But anyway, there's that move on Schwartzman again. Like I said, let me know whether you think that was valid or whether I was out of line going for a move like that. I think, like I said, it was just me being a bit reckless and him being a bit unaware. So I think it was fair game. But anyway, maybe you take a different view of it to how I see it. There's the finish rivalry breakdown between me and Russell. He's starting to pull ahead a little bit, so I'm going to need a good performance in Japan, I think, is the next race if I want to take him on. I keep thinking every race, oh, the next one is going to be Portugal. Since Italy, I've been like, oh, the next race is going to be Portugal. But it's not Portugal today, it's not Portugal next race, and I just recorded Japan as I'm recording the narration for this video, and it's not after Japan either, so I don't know when it's coming up. But anyway, it's coming up at some point. But for now, that's going to be a lot, I'm afraid. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one.